There is a strange and sacred justice woven into the very fabric of existence, not the kind that fits neatly into human calendars or courtroom verdicts, nor the kind we fashion in our own moments of anger. This justice is older than time, quieter than thunder, and yet more unstoppable than the tide. It is the justice of a hand unseen, moving with wisdom that does not answer to mortal impatience. And it is working even now, though you may not yet see it. There is a force at work in this world, one that moves, unseen, beyond the reach of human hands and beyond the limitations of mortal understanding. It is not hurried, nor is it swayed by the urgency of our demands. It does not bend to the pressures of time or yield to the desperate cries for immediate retribution. And yet it is unfailing, unwavering, and unbreakable. It is justice, not the kind men fashion in their courts or in the secret places of their own bitterness, but a justice that belongs to one who has never once been blind to the suffering of the innocent. We struggle with the silence. We see wrongdoing flourish, and we wonder why heaven has not intervened. We watch as the dishonest climb higher, as the cruel move forward unchallenged, as those who have wounded us continue their lives untouched, and something in us breaks beneath the weight of the unfairness. We want to see balance restored, for surely justice should move with speed, with clarity, with undeniable force. But here is a truth we are often reluctant to face. Justice is not ours to control. It belongs to a hand greater than ours, a wisdom deeper than ours, and a plan stretching far beyond what we can see. The weight of justice rests in unseen hands, and though we may not see them move, they do not rest. The justice of heaven is not in the business of quick and fleeting punishments, nor is it bound by the impatience of human hearts. It does not rush to destroy, nor does it delay in ignorance. It moves with a purpose we may not understand, a rhythm we may not recognize, and a certainty we can always trust. Think of a seed buried deep beneath the earth. For a time, it seems as if nothing is happening. The ground is undisturbed, unchanged, silent. And yet, beneath the surface, something is stirring, growing, taking shape. The roots stretch before the eye can perceive their presence. And then, in the fullness of time, when the season is right, it emerges, strong and undeniable. Justice is no different. It is at work, even in the moments we feel abandoned. It is moving, even when we see no evidence. It is growing, even when all appears still. Consider this. If justice were to act immediately upon every wrong, would any of us be left standing? If every failure, every act of selfishness, every unkind word or cruel thought were to be met with swift and absolute consequence, who among us would escape? And yet we demand urgency when we are the ones wronged. We cry out for immediate action, for a forceful hand, for visible recompense. But we forget that justice is not about satisfying our own pain. It is about setting things right in a way that does not merely punish, but restores. And restoration is not an instant process. It is deliberate, precise, and absolute. There is something terrifying in knowing that nothing escapes the notice of divine justice. Every word spoken in secret, every deception carefully woven, every act of harm done without remorse, it is all seen, all known, all accounted for. No one outruns it, no one outsmarts it, and no one escapes it. It may move quietly, but when it arrives, it does so with a certainty that cannot be denied. Those who have built their power on the suffering of others will find their foundations shaken. Those who have moved without conscience will find themselves pursued by the very things they sought to escape. And those who have harmed without fear will one day look into the face of the justice they believed would never come. But here is the beauty hidden within this weight of unseen justice. It does not merely correct, it transforms. It is not a force of reckless destruction, but of intentional redemption. The purpose is not only to deal with the guilty, but to heal the wounded. And that is why it takes time. That is why we must learn to trust it, not because we desire vengeance, but because we believe in restoration. Not because we wish to see others suffer, but because we know that nothing, not even pain, is beyond the reach of divine justice. And when it moves, it does not merely settle accounts. It makes all things new. I essa uwin, orthra, oyungin, ua unsa utus, una. There is a certainty in this world that few acknowledge until it is upon them. No action is ever truly lost. Every word spoken, every deed done, every choice made, these things do not vanish into the past as though they were never uttered or carried out. They remain, woven into the fabric of time, waiting, and then, one day, they return. It is an immutable law, a force set in motion at the dawn of creation, that what a person sows, they will inevitably reap. The echoes of their own actions will find them, no matter how far they run, no matter how deeply they bury their wrongs beneath the illusion of success or power. It may seem, for a time, that cruelty goes unpunished, that deceit carries no consequence, that the selfish prosper while the kind suffer. This is one of the oldest grievances of the human heart. We see those who harm us continue to walk unscathed, and we wonder if justice has forgotten. We struggle to reconcile the pain inflicted upon us with the silence that follows, and we ask ourselves, do they feel nothing? Have they truly escaped? But no one escapes the weight of their own choices, their words, their actions, their betrayals. They are not buried, they are seeds, and in due time they will bloom. Perhaps it will not be in the way we expect. Perhaps it will not be a dramatic downfall, an instant reckoning that satisfies our longing for immediate justice. But make no mistake, what they have done will come back to them, often in ways they never anticipated. The deceiver will find themselves deceived. The one who manipulated will find themselves caught in a web of their own making. The one who inflicted pain will, one day, feel a pain that mirrors their own cruelty. The hands that wounded will tremble with the weight of their own destruction, and in that moment, they will understand. It is not revenge, it is a return. The universe, governed by laws far beyond our comprehension, does not let injustice rest. The ripples of every action expand outward, and though they may travel far, they always find their way back to the one who set them in motion. A lie spoken in secret will one day be exposed in the light. A betrayal carried out in the shadows will return in the form of loneliness and regret. A heart broken by selfishness will one day leave its breaker empty-handed. And when that moment comes, they will look around and wonder why the things they once grasped so easily now slip through their fingers, why the certainty they carried has turned to doubt, why the doors that once opened for them are now sealed shut. They will not always recognize it at first. They will call it misfortune, bad luck, the cruelty of others, but deep down, in the quiet moments when they are alone with their own conscience, they will know, they will remember. They will hear the echoes of their own actions, and they will understand that this is no accident. It is the return of what they themselves sent forth. For some, this reckoning will be a chance for redemption. They will see their reflection in the pain they now endure, and they will recognize the damage they have caused. They will feel the weight of their past, and they will choose to change. And in that change, there is hope. Not only for them, but for the ones they have wounded. But for others, the lesson will be lost. They will fight against it, denying the truth that stares them in the face. They will blame the world, curse their misfortune, refuse to acknowledge the cause of their own suffering. And so, the echoes will only grow louder. the lessons will come again, harsher and more relentless, until they either break beneath the weight of their own making or surrender to the truth that has been pursuing them all along. So, do not be deceived by the illusion of their success. Do not let yourself believe that cruelty, once enacted, disappears without consequence. The echoes of their own actions are already moving toward them, even now. And one day, when they least expect it, they will hear them, they will feel them. And they will know what was done was never forgotten. It was simply waiting for its time to return. There comes a moment in every journey of suffering when the weight begins to lift. Not because the world has suddenly corrected itself, not because those who wronged you have sought to make things right, but because something within you has changed. You wake up one day, and though the memories remain, they no longer hold power over you. The pain that once echoed through your every thought begins to quiet. The anger that burned in your chest like an unquenchable fire starts to lose its heat. And in its place there is something new, something unexpected, something unshakable: peace. It does not always come with fanfare. It is not the loud, triumphant peace of a war visibly won. It is not the kind that demands the world acknowledge your healing. It is quieter, deeper, the kind that settles into your bones without permission, the kind that no one else can see but you can feel with every breath you take. It is a gift, a whisper of divine mercy, reminding you that you are no longer bound to the hurt inflicted upon you. You are no longer imprisoned by what they did. And yet, as you step into this peace, something strange begins to happen. You notice that while you are healing, while your spirit is being restored, those who hurt you are starting to stumble. Where once they walked with confidence, now they hesitate. Where once they moved without fear, now there is uncertainty in their steps. The joy they once pretended to have now looks more like restlessness. The victories they once celebrated feel empty, as though they themselves do not know why they fought for them. You watch as they wrestle with something unseen, something they do not understand, something they never expected, because the truth is, they thought they had won. They thought that by breaking you, by wounding you, by taking from you, they had secured their own peace. They believed that their cruelty would be forgotten, that their betrayal would fade into the past without consequence. But what they did not realize is that peace is not something stolen. It is something given. And while you, in your suffering, were being shaped into something stronger, they were being left to face the weight of their own actions. It is a paradox few understand. While you were in pain, they felt powerful. While you were struggling, they felt untouchable. But now, the tide has shifted, and though they may not say it aloud, they feel it. They feel the emptiness where victory was supposed to be. They feel the discomfort where satisfaction should have settled. They feel the unease creeping in, the quiet unraveling of all they thought they had secured. They are beginning to realize that the harm they caused did not bring them what they had hoped. They are beginning to see that the peace they once ignored, the peace they once took from you, is the very thing they lack. And you, the one they thought would remain broken, are now walking in something they can no longer find. They do not understand how you have let go. They do not understand how you are no longer burdened by the pain they inflicted. They do not understand why the past no longer holds you hostage. And in their confusion, in their turmoil, they come face to face with the truth they tried to avoid. Peace does not come to those who destroy. It comes to those who endure. So they wrestle, they strive, they seek distractions, filling their lives with noise to drown out the whisper of regret. They convince themselves that they are fine, that life has moved on, that their choices were justified. But deep down, they know. They feel the weight of what they have done, not because you wish it upon them, not because you seek vengeance, but because justice is not always a loud and sudden reckoning. Sometimes it is the quiet realization that peace has left them while it has found you. And that is the justice that cannot be denied. It is not a punishment crafted by human hands, nor is it a revenge plotted in secret. It is the natural order of things, the unavoidable truth that peace belongs to those who are honest, to those who choose healing, to those who refuse to be defined by the harm done to them. And so, while they struggle, you are free. While they fight against the truth, you have already embraced it. And while they wonder why their victories feel hollow, you walk forward, unburdened, untouched, whole. There is something unsettling about watching someone who once seemed untouchable begin to stumble. The person who moved through life with unchecked confidence, who carried themselves as though they could manipulate fate itself, suddenly finds that the ground beneath them is no longer solid. They reach for opportunities that once came easily, but the doors that always opened for them now remain locked. They call upon the same tactics that once brought them success, but the results are not what they expected. They begin to realize, too late, that something has shifted. Their steps, once steady, now falter. Their path, once wide and clear, now narrows into uncertainty. For a time it seemed as though nothing could touch them. They took what was not theirs, spoke words that wounded without remorse, played games with the hearts and trust of others as if there would never be a cost. They mistook delay for escape. They mistook silence for approval. They mistook the patience of divine justice for indifference. But justice does not forget. It does not look away. It only waits for the appointed time. And when that time comes, it moves with a precision that cannot be outrun. At first, they do not recognize what is happening. They convince themselves that it is just a streak of bad luck, a temporary hardship, an unfair twist of fate. They double their efforts, trying to force open the doors that once welcomed them. But no matter how hard they try, something is different now. The people who once supported them no longer return their calls. The advantages they once relied upon slip through their fingers. The schemes they once used to get ahead seem to backfire. And as the path grows darker, as one opportunity after another vanishes before they can grasp it, a quiet fear begins to take hold. Because deep down, they know what they have done. They know the choices they made, the people they hurt, the lies they told to build the life they now see unraveling. They may not admit it, not yet, but there is a voice whispering in the back of their mind, reminding them that this is not random, this is not a coincidence. This is the weight of justice pressing down upon them, not with fury, but with certainty. The ones who once laughed at the pain they caused now find themselves restless, unable to enjoy the things that once brought them pleasure. The ones who walked with arrogance now feel the burden of their own steps, the creeping realization that their influence is fading. They begin to see the cracks forming in the foundation they believed was unshakable. What they built on dishonesty begins to crumble. What they gained through manipulation turns to dust in their hands. And the worst part, the part they never expected, is that there is no one to blame but themselves. It is a strange thing to witness, this slow unraveling of the untouchable. It does not always happen in grand, dramatic ways. Sometimes it is as simple as watching them become a shadow of who they once were. The light they stole dims, the control they exercised slips away, the certainty they carried is replaced by doubt, and with every closed door, with every failed attempt to regain what they lost, the truth becomes harder to ignore. They may fight it, they may refuse to acknowledge it, they may try to mask their downfall with false smiles and empty words, pretending that they are still in control. But deep within, they know. They feel the weight of what they have done, the consequences they never thought would reach them. And though they may try to outrun it, justice has already set its course. The doors will remain shut. The path will continue to darken, not out of cruelty, not out of vengeance, but out of the unshakable truth that no one walks through life unscathed by their own actions. There is a moment in every life when the weight of past actions becomes too heavy to ignore, a moment when the echoes of every selfish choice, every thoughtless betrayal, every wound inflicted without remorse return, not as distant memories, but as undeniable realities, pressing in from all sides. It is the reckoning, the point at which the ones who once walked through life untouched by guilt must finally face what they have done. For some it comes as a sudden and undeniable collapse. The lies they built their lives upon crumble beneath them. The power they once wielded slips from their grasp. The people they used, the bridges they burned, the love they took for granted, all of it is gone, and they are left standing in the ruin of their own making. But for others, it is quieter, more insidious. It is not an external downfall, but an internal unraveling, a slow and suffocating realization that no matter how much they try to run from it, their past has caught up with them. There is no satisfaction in watching someone suffer beneath the weight of their own choices. There is no joy in knowing that they now feel the pain they once ignored. Because the purpose of justice is not simply to bring consequences, it is to bring clarity. It is to strip away the illusions they clung to, the falsehoods that allowed them to believe they could move through life without cost. And in that clarity, in that brutal, inescapable truth, there is a door not to destruction, but to redemption. But redemption is not guaranteed. Not everyone will choose to walk through that door. Some will harden their hearts, refusing to acknowledge their own responsibility. They will blame the world, blame bad luck, blame the very people they wounded. They will see their reckoning as unfair, as undeserved, as something that happened to them rather than something they created. And in doing so, they will miss the only chance they have to turn their suffering into transformation. Because the reckoning, as painful as it may be, is not meant to destroy, it is meant to awaken. It is the moment when the weight of past choices is no longer an abstract concept, but a living reality, a force pressing down on them until they either break beneath it or surrender to it. And in that surrender, there is hope, because to see one's own darkness clearly is the first step towards stepping into the light. Redemption does not erase what was done. It does not undo the wounds inflicted, nor does it absolve one of responsibility. But it offers something even more powerful, the chance to change, the chance to become something different than what one has been, the chance to rewrite the story, not by pretending the past never happened, but by ensuring that it does not define the future. It is not an easy path. To choose redemption is to choose humility, to admit wrongdoing, to seek to heal what was broken. It is to face the very people who were harmed and not demand forgiveness, but earn it. It is to understand that some wounds will never fully heal, that some bridges will never be rebuilt, that some trust, once lost, is lost forever. But even in that loss, there is something sacred, because to truly embrace redemption is to understand that it is not about undoing the past, but about becoming someone who would never repeat it. There are those who will walk through their reckoning unchanged, too stubborn to let the fire refine them. They will grow bitter instead of better, hardened instead of healed. But there will also be those who, in the ashes of their own ruin, find something they never expected, a new beginning, and that is the miracle hidden within justice. Not just the settling of debts, not just the weight of consequence, but the quiet, relentless invitation to become something greater than what they once were. Redemption is never found in escaping the past, but in confronting it. The reckoning is not the end, It is the crossroads, where one chooses between destruction and transformation. Some will resist, clinging to pride, but others will surrender to the truth, allowing it to reshape them. True redemption is not about undoing past wrongs, but about ensuring they are never repeated. It is found in humility, in the courage to change, and in the willingness to rebuild, whether or not forgiveness is granted. In the end, justice is not only about consequence. It is about offering the chance to become something new,